and significantly important. The yellow triangle is telling us that it is more than the normal range. And then again you have BCV, that is your higher order aberration on the back surface. Now you are talking about points, higher order aberration on every point, every axis. It's not only the whole cornea, it's on dot and dot. This is what you have to really understand and then see. Your higher order aberration is the one that will tell you whether you need to treat or not to treat. Then the epithelial mapping. So you have to study the pattern of the epithelium. Thin and thick is normal. It says this is not keratoconus, but there can always be a different pattern. How is it progressing in the periphery? So this is a sagittal map, not too much. The sagittal anterior, sagittal posterior. So if you look at the shape, the size of the number 8 pattern is bigger. Okay, so that means you feel much happier with it when you look at it, but this is not the real data. You have to be very careful not to look at it. You can, but I don't like to look into the sagittal map. It's always a tangential. So यहाँ पनि पछाडिबाट it shows a small back elevation here. Rather the guy as he's telling you, be careful, there's something going on here. Now this is the most important thing. Keratoconus ectasia map. Now you have this in Pentacam, you will have this at the service. You have to understand what this teaching hospital, you have this same software. So what you are seeing is the tangential front, which you have already seen steep superiorly. This is the back out here. So if you look at this, you see a small bump out here, and the whole cornea looks a little droopy. Okay? Not too much. If you look at the number over there, the number over there is minus 6.25, which is not very significant. That means there is a back elevation, but not significantly very strong. So it gives you a little bit of happiness. Saying, yeah, back elevations are, there is significance, I know. Okay? So you're looking at this curvature or symmetry is the same thing. Curvature or symmetry, or SIF. SIF in the front, etapati body. Mastiro, tapati body, altiro. So if you look at the back over here, it's come to this yellow point, it's telling be careful, there's a danger sign, look at this. And again, the BCV is your higher order aberration that is telling you back border. You only get the your direction on the arrow is telling you it's going in this direction. Your higher order aberration, your cornea is going in that direction. So be careful. This is the red line, the longer it gets, the more dangerous it is. So the moment it comes to the yellow part over here, it's like definitely you might need treatment. Okay? And what you have now, this is the Gaussian curve. So this is the old Gaussian curve. Pentacam side, no? Yeah, and the hair is telling you be careful. The Gaussian curve is telling you there's a back elevation here. It's a thick cornea. There's so many indices that it's telling you you got to always look at this. And the fourth thing that you really need to look at is notation point. Your notation points are recurrence on it. It takes all the points, the steepest point, the thinnest point, the backward or steepest point, the most elevated point, the thinnest epithelium, everything it takes and it points at it. The closer it gets, the closer it gets, this circle becomes smaller and smaller. The smaller this circle gets, more dangerous it is. So this is your notation point. You have to really be careful when your notation point is very small. And then this is the cirrus, this is the scapula, oikositio. So then I like to try and compare it with the cirrus also. So one important thing with the cirrus, the scapula is not very reliable. Every time you do it, you get a different map. Okay? When you compare it, you'll see the same thing, but then there are two yellow triangles telling us be careful, there's something going on. But there's a large notation point. So for me, refractive surgery, I would definitely say no. Don't do it. Probably cross-linking, you might say, wait, you don't want to cross-link a patient with a 570 micron. But then you have to always keep looking at the higher order aberrations. So again, this is the higher order aberration thing. This is the second order, oblique astigmatism, defocus, and with the rule against the rule. You will see this, the Zernix polynomials. When you look at scans, when you look at the Zernix One number that you have to understand is significant is 0.2. So moment there is 0.2, it is significant. Okay? If it is less than 0.2, it is not significant. Just remember, 0.2 is what we want to see. If it is less than 0.2, it's not significant. Okay? These are the dangers of the trefoil, the vertical coma, the horizontal coma, and spherical aberration. So vertical coma and spherical aberrations are very, very dangerous. But the horizontal coma, not too much. But still, coma means decentration. Anything that is moving out of the center will give you coma. You have to be very careful. The more the coma, the more irregular the cornea is, more the chances there is keratoconus. So this is Dr. Mero was trying to show again, no? You can at least actually tell patient you can tell the point spread function, the RMS value. The RMS value is like the root mean square value, but it tells you generally, grossly, this is an irregular cornea. But it does not tell you it is because of coma, or astigmatism, or vertical coma, or whatever. So if the RMS value is more than 0.3, I start getting worried. 0.4, okay. 0.5, again, I start getting worried. This is 0.99, same patient. So you can imagine a corneal thickness, you do a pachymetry, 560 micron, you know, when you look at this higher order aberration, the vertical coma is 0.28. This is significant. The trefoil is 0.2. The root mean square value, 0.99. Every time when you're looking at the keratoconus, you're looking at these numbers. Your keratometric value, your elevations might just be the same all the time. But definitely, your higher order aberration might be increasing. Okay? So this is how you start, you correlate. This is one of my Professor Dan Wright sends to picture of. How to correlate things. You look at this is a normal looking scan. Okay, this is a normal scan. Number 8 pattern. You look at the anterior elevation, look at the posterior elevation, and you look at the epithelial map, it is thin and thick. This is an Artemis. Artemis, when you go, it's a very high frequency ultrasound. It's not in the market yet. And then you look at this over here, looks round, steep cornea, 53-47, front elevation, back elevation. You see this thin epithelium in the center, surrounded by thick epithelium. This is definitely keratoconus. Then you have similar thing over here, inferior steepling. There's nothing in the front, a little bit of back elevation, thin epithelium in the center. This is keratoconus. You look at this, this looks very suspicious. Inferior steepling, nothing in the front, nothing in the back, and a normal epithelial pattern. So even if you have inferior steepling, it does not mean that patient has keratoconus. It just could be an inferior steepling, an asymmetric bone. Look at this. This looks very, very normal. Nothing in the front, a little bit on the back, thin epithelium on top of it. So the moment you have thin epithelium on top of back elevation, it is keratoconus. Definitely. So this is what keratoconus. This is not the same patient now. You see, this is thin cornea over here, with thin epithelium, keratoconus. Thin cornea here. Since this is only 6 millimeters, if you really look at the MS39 by 8 mm, you get a big circle of epithelium around it. Okay? Teaching Usman Sani, Optometry Sani, right? So I think it's so easy to use an Optometry. So this is a keratoconus. You see, it's very simple. Very easy to diagnose keratoconus. Very easy. Keratometry, back elevation, you have data. It is the ones who are suspicious. Ali, thick corneas, aberration, those are the ones. They have no refractive errors, nothing. They will have something hiding in the cornea. So most of you try, don't you? I know. You all have. See, if you will not believe if I do my scan, I'll get keratoconus. Oh, we'll solve it. I know. You know Govind Oja? I know he's from teaching, he was with me in Telangana for so many years. I go into the joint TK can just do and also the keratoconus recently given. I know he's like still so worried. He's in Australia now and Govind has keratoconus. I know. And he didn't know, he doesn't have glasses, he doesn't have anything, and he's got like through back elevation, front elevation, he doesn't drive, guys alone because he can't drive at night. That's okay, he starts panicking because he cannot. Okay? So people will come to you, I can't drive at night, that's my biggest problem. Then you say, oh, he's lucky one. So this is the societal map, and then again, the keratoconus. These are very, very simple. There are other abbreviations here, apical front, apical back. So this is all telling you. So diagnosing keratoconus is very simple, but to treat them, sometimes you can have a keratoconus as bad as this, but your high order averages might be very stable for a long time. You don't want to treat it. Sometimes you can have a very, very normal cornea, and then it might look like, oh, the averages are increasing more and more. Right? Nothing is increasing, only the averages. You want to treat it. So sometimes you have keratoconus vision like this. Patient that I don't know, the only thing they'll come and tell you is, I don't see very well. And then when you look at it, vision is like this. You look at the point spread function, it's like this. You can tell the patient, look at this. This is what you're seeing actually. So most of the time, one eye is worse than the other, and they're actually compensating with the other eye, and the averages are very, very high. So now this is, again now with one, you know where we are, another step ahead. Now the Gaussian curvatures, okay? It looks very complicated, but it's very, very simple. This is a Gaussian curvature over here. Let's not talk too much about it, okay? So Gaussian curvature it has put the pentagram in it, it has put the epithelial mapping, the epithelial map curve, posterior progressive areas, periphery map. And it will also tell you about the corneal thickness, how the cornea is thickening in the periphery. It's very sharp, everything is flat. It will tell you whether it's corneal edema or whether it's the cornea is dipping too much, like, you know, in the center. And you have these notation points. It's very simple. Again, it comes to the same thing. So now that I've already explained to the Gaussian curvature, so the Gaussian curvature will tell you. So many people call me up, oh, sure, I'm sending you a patient for LASIK. I know. Juno is here. And she's calling me in the morning. What are you doing? You know? Because now we're working on Gaussian curvature. So the Gaussian curvature is telling us, be careful. This curvature will tell you today your cornea is like this. After your refractive surgery, you're doing smart sight, smile, LASIK, parts of PRK, whatever. So you already know in 5 years' time, this patient is going to have keratoconus. You don't want to treat it. Just the Dr. Madan Davi, you don't want to become rich at the cost of somebody else. And that's very, very ethical. Okay? So you must be wondering, 10 years back, when I was in Telangana, my rejection rate was 20%. Out of 100 people, 20 people would be rejected. Right now, it's just the opposite. 70 of them will be rejected. Because I already know 10 years down the line, this guy is going to have this. So you see the full maps, when we started 10 years back, how much of data they had, and you see the full map now. Can you imagine? It takes me half an hour to just go through this. It takes so long. You keep all this, Dr. Kishore. Patients are like, you know, what is he doing? I'm looking at all the dots and points and everything. So you have to be very, very meticulous. We cannot be in a rush to dispose your crowd. Teaching hospital has a big crowd. Kapalai hospital has a big crowd. Tilganga has the biggest crowd. But the moment you rush and you start missing things, it is a crime. Okay? For me, I think we should be more and more very relaxed to go into every dot. So you can have good ones also. So these are actually, these two are your standard deviation or pattern deviation. So now they also talk about pattern deviation. Cornea thickness, these are यति हुनुपर्ने, that's the deviation. जति रातो हुँदै गयो त्यति dangerous. The epithelial thickness यति छ, यसरी भइरहेछ. And it will also tell you the graph. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable presentation. Our next topic is on the tomography index, and the presenter is my teacher from first year till now, and the president is an optometry president, current president, an optometry faculty, and one of the humble person I have ever seen in entire optometry fraternity, Neeraj Joshi sir. Please, sir.
So good morning everybody. Today I'm here with the presentation of topographic indices for the keratoconus experiment. Keratoconus is a progressive cognitive disorder affecting mainly the adolescent age, and we can diagnose keratoconus with retinoscopy and detailed documentation of refractive error. But the subclinical cases of keratoconus cannot be diagnosed in the absence of corneal topography. So it is a very important tool, and in previous presentation, Dr. Kishore has broadly explained about the various aspects of the keratoconus. So, corneal topography. So, corneal topography is an important tool to diagnose the signs, diagnose keratoconus before the clinical slit line sign that are not already visible. So, if you go by the corneal maps, basically there are 4 types of corneal tomographic maps. It is ideally said tomograph because recent days topography machines gives both the anterior map and the posterior curvature map. So it consists of anterior curvature sagittal map and anterior and posterior elevation maps and